Before we begin, quick spoiler warning for Attack on Titan Seasons 1 through 4, no manga spoilers, just going to talk about what has been adapted so far. With the recent release of Attack on Titan's final season, I wanted to touch on a topic that might have flown under your radar. You can probably see by the title of this video, I'm going to be discussing fascism in the world of Attack on Titan. However, I'm not going to be coming from some perspective claiming Attack on Titan is pro-Nazi or pro-fascist like some of the videos I've seen. That would be ridiculous and hilariously ignorant. Instead, I'm going to focus on how Hajime Isayama's writing in the world he created for Attack on Titan is reflective of the historical events and ideological trends we've seen in our own universe. I'm going to be getting into some super interesting stuff relating to the story and characters that might surprise you, so make sure to stick around. Now, if you don't know or just aren't familiar with what fascism is, I'll give you a quick definition and a few examples. Fascism is a form of far-right, authoritarian, ultranationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regimentation of society and of the economy, which came to prominence in early 20th century Europe. You can attest the most notable examples of fascism to countries like Benito Mussolini's Italy, Nazi Germany, and the Japanese Empire. As of the 21st century, much of fascism has come to pass for obvious reasons, but some of the residual effects and movements still exist today, and I'm going to explain how this idea of fascism is portrayed in the world of Attack on Titan. But before we jump to any conclusions about the world of Attack on Titan, I want to discuss the very obvious but seemingly illusioned influence of Nazi Germany and Germany in general on Attack on Titan. Obviously, I'm separating Nazi Germany from modern Germany as they are very different countries, but pay attention to this. While you're watching Attack on Titan, note a couple things. How many characters are portrayed with blonde hair and lightly colored eyes, specifically the Eldians? I bet you can name a few off your head right now. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Nazis who idolized those of Nordic and Aryan descent, commonly with blonde hair and lightly colored eyes. Now think about how many characters have German last names. Nearly all of them. Jaeger translates directly to hunter in German, Ackermann means plow and has a heavy Jewish origin, and Reiss is a surname that was used historically in Old Germany by predominantly Jewish and Yiddish populations. Is this a coincidence that Isayama chose German, Ashkenazic, Jewish last names for most of the main characters and nearly all the Eldians? No, this isn't a coincidence, but did you actually note this while watching? And these name origins have even more importance when you look at how the Eldians are treated as an ethnic minority in the nation of Marley. They're discussed as monsters, spawns of the devil, and are required to wear armbands to identify themselves to others whenever they leave their homes. They ride in train cars with no ventilation, similar to those you would ship raw materials or agricultural animals in, while Marlians ride in actual passenger cars with seats and tables. Eldians that disobey or act unruly are sent to paradise, which leads to their untimely death and genocide as an ethnic group.
下にまっすぐ走れ。運が良かったら壁までたどり着けるぞ。
Are you drawing any historical comparisons yet? Isayama has created a very interesting mockery of Nazi racial ideology by portraying those with the supposed superior Aryan traits like blonde hair and blue eyes as actually being inferior in Marlian society. Attack on Titan presents the idea that specific physical traits like hair and eye color shouldn't and don't elevate your position in society. If most Nazis were still alive, this would serve as a true mockery to their belief system, and you bet it would be banned in Nazi Germany. Isayama purposefully portrayed the Eldians as an Aryan race, but simultaneously showed that this doesn't matter at all, and that discrimination and genocide holds no validity, just as it didn't for the Jewish people during the Holocaust. There is no excuse or justification for ethnic discrimination and genocide. Now, off the topic of ethnic backgrounds and fascist racial policies, I want to discuss the governments present in the world of Attack on Titan and how they're reflective of fascist regimes we've seen in our own reality. Regarding humanity within the walls, I find it extremely ironic that not only are the Marlians oppressing the Eldians in awful ways, but the most powerful Eldian family is also playing a role in oppressing themselves. The Reiss family and the government they created behind the walls is one that served to protect the Eldian people and the subjects of Ymir, but they did it through governmental control of information and erasing memories. How does this make them any better than their counterpart Marley across the sea? It doesn't, but that's what Attack on Titan is about. You see just how awful and damaging fascist dictatorships are to society, whether they exist to serve your ethnicity or not. The militaristic, brainwashed, and tough society built within the walls is a great example of how fascism serves nobody but those at the top. Think of how many died in useless scouting expeditions and other operations that served only to satisfy the desire of the general population to learn more about their reality. even though all of that knowledge was actually within the walls the entire time. The deaths of thousands through the fall of Wall Maria and the lack of hesitation from the Eldian elite to sacrifice thousands more of the population to save themselves is reflective of real dictatorial behavior. Behavior we've seen in Nazi Germany, the Japanese Empire, and other real-world fascist countries. Attack on Titan is not pro-fascist, pro-Nazi, or pro-discrimination. If anything, its portrayal of these ideologies serves as a commentary against them. Attack on Titan shows just how damaging the control of information and seizure of freedom from everyday people can be to society, regardless of who it proves to serve. Attack on Titan uses the word coward to describe the first king of humanity within the walls, and he was nothing short of a cowardly, oppressive, and authoritarian leader. Attack on Titan acknowledges the downfalls of fascism. Now please quit claiming it's pro-fascist or pro-Nazi. You just sound super uneducated. There's so much interesting historical context, specifically from the early 20th century throughout the world of Attack on Titan, and watching as someone who loves history has really expanded my respect for Isayama and his writing ability. I could make an entire video about all the historical references, but maybe I'll leave that for next time. Now, I'm just speaking from the perspective of an undergraduate in political science and European history, so I'm by no means an expert, and if you feel like I misquoted anything, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I sincerely hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to drop a like and maybe even subscribe. I'm really trying super hard to make my dreams come true. Have a great rest of your week, and Sasage.